I'm Will Shafroth, President and CEO of the National Park Foundation, and I'm honored to join you to recognize today's incredible honorees and the spirit of service to our national parks that they embody. For more than 50 years, the National Park Foundation has been dedicated to helping the National Park Service better accomplish its mission through private philanthropy and innovative public-private partnerships. The foundation works to protect wildlife and parklands, preserve history and culture, educate and engage youth, and connect people everywhere to the wonder of parks. Working alongside the Park Service, the foundation helps ensure that all people are able to discover their own personal connection to national parks. The contributions made on a daily basis by National Park Service staff and volunteers are critical to ensure public access to the parks and all that parks offer. I celebrate with you our shared love of national parks and the commitment to stewardship of these special places. There's so much to celebrate, from excellence in wilderness stewardship to volunteerism, outstanding interpretation and partnerships, and protecting our resources and visitors. Whether it's restoring a trail, interpreting history, leading in-park educational programs, or providing services at visitor centers, National Park Service employees and volunteers are second to none. At this time, please join me in welcoming Sean Benge.
Thank you, Will, and I would like to recognize Will and all our colleagues at the National Park Foundation for their dedicated service to the National Park Service and commitment to inspiring all people to connect with and protect America's national parks. I am honored to announce the recipients of several prestigious National Park Service awards. All the individuals and groups being recognized today eagerly share unique talents and skills that enhance park operations, expand opportunities for people to discover their national parks, and help provide safe and memorable experiences for visitors from around the world. We begin with honoring the recipients of the Wes Henry Excellence in Wilderness Stewardship Awards. Wes Henry was the National Park Service Wilderness Program Manager who dedicated his life and career to wilderness stewardship. These awards recognize outstanding contributions that carry on his incredible legacy of preserving wilderness character in the National Park Service and beyond.
I'm Mark Fincher, and I'm the recipient this year for the West Henry Excellence in Wilderness Stewardship Award. And I'm honored to receive this award and want to thank those at the National Wilderness Leadership Council for thinking about me. I've been inspired throughout my career by some friends and mentors here in the park, Laurel Boyers, Jan van Wankendonk, Jim Snyder, and others, as well as those outside the park, good folks at the Carhart Center in Missoula, my friends there, Tim and James and Ken and Roger, as well as the Aldo Leopold Research Center. Folks like Peter Landers and David Cole have been a big inspiration for me and have really helped me through my career. And I've been inspired in my career by the protection of this place, the Yosemite Wilderness, for a love of the place and a passion for protecting it, as well as the wilderness idea, which I think is needed now more than ever. And I hope the Park Service continues to do things like this award and continues to prioritize the protection of wilderness.
Hi, my name is Melissa Trenchick. I'm the Chief of Resource Stewardship, Science, Interpretation, and Education at Buffalo National River. It's an honor to be a part of this team that preserves wilderness character on 36,000 acres of designated wilderness in the Ozark Mountains of north central Arkansas.
Today I'm honored to be a part of the Buffalo National River team that's been nominated for the West Henry Excellence in Wilderness Stewardship Award.
Over the past 5 years, our team has been working closely with the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics to improve our park's messaging and interpretive programming about minimizing our recreational impacts on public lands, including Buffalo National River's 3 units of designated wilderness. In 2020, these efforts culminated with Buffalo National River's distinction as a Leave No Trace Gold Standard Site, an honor held by only 6 National Park Service units.
This, combined with wilderness monitoring and education efforts by Ranger Lindsay Martindale, extensive cleanup efforts by our park's visitor and resource protection rangers and volunteers, our fire management program's restoration of natural character of wilderness, use of minimum tool for trail maintenance by facility management, identification and preservation of historic and prehistoric resources and threatened and endangered species by our resources team, all of which is supported by the business services team, proves that this has truly been an interdisciplinary team effort among our staff, volunteers, and partners at Buffalo National River. We're really excited to continue the work here at Buffalo National River as stewards of America's wildlands. Thank you so much.
My name is Jerry Goller. I'm a volunteer with the National Park Service. Over the last year and a half, I've been making virtual tour videos of the entire Buffalo National River. I started the video for my son, who lives in San Diego, so he could remember the buffalo and not lose those memories. The Park Service saw the videos, liked them, and wanted to know if they could use them as a visitor resource for the visitors paddling in the wilderness area on the buffalo. And I, of course, said yes, and it turned into be an excellent resource. And when COVID hit, which nobody saw coming, the river was closed, of course, and it allowed people to experience the buffalo and get out and have that joy of the wilderness that they couldn't have any other way because they were quarantined. So it turned out to be way more beneficial than I thought it was going to be. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the National Park Service for the recognition of my work.
Former National Park Service Director George Hartzog created the Volunteer in Parks, or VIP program, in 1970 with 300 volunteers. He said that when a volunteer agrees to share their talents, skills, and interests with the National Park Service, they are paying us one of the highest compliments possible by offering the most valued possession, their time. Today, nearly 300,000 volunteers donate more than 6.5 million hours annually in national parks for a value of more than $185 million. Their extraordinary dedication and contributions, especially during this past year, embody the spirit of service, engagement, and stewardship. Following are the recipients of the 2020 George and Helen Hartzog Awards for Outstanding Volunteer Service.
Thank you to the National Park Service volunteers. Whether it's sharing stitches and stories, or bringing history to life, or teaching trade skills, or instructing the addle-addle. One of the most valuable resources at our nation's national parks is our volunteers' time. They are experts in fission.
Add in the first neutron.
They staff the live cams at Yellowstone. They are explorers, stewards of the land, and citizen scientists. They share art in New Bedford, at Herbert Hoover, and in the Everglades. They are first-timers, underwater divers, information providers, fossil finders. They get the best seat in the house and tell tales on the rails. They are you and me. Thousands of us, just sharing a little time and making a big difference. Volunteer at a national park site near you.
Hi, I'm Karen Hartley.
And I'm Tom Hartley.
Thank you for choosing us for the Hartzog Award for Outstanding Volunteers in the National Park. We are very honored.
As you can see, we are currently at Fort Union Trading Post in North Dakota. That's a long way from Georgia, but we're looking forward to going back to Fort Frederica in January.
Tom and I started being full-time RV volunteers in the national parks in 2015. We worked at Fort Frederica for 4 seasons, mostly because of the Living History program. When the pandemic hit in March of 2020, the Living History program shut down. But we stayed at Fort Frederica because Ranger Michael Seibert promised that he had plenty of projects for us to do, and he was right. Tom blazed new trails. We built a bake oven and wrote a manual on how to run it. We did videos on living history. We helped get the visitor center ready to reopen. We were glad to have so many different things to do, although we did miss having the visitors there.
We'd like to thank the National Park Foundation for this award. We'd like to thank Ranger Michael Seibert at Fort Frederica for nominating us. We'd also like to thank a variety of volunteer coordinators who chose us to work at their parks. Specifically, we'd like to thank Abby Wines at Death Valley for teaching us about interpretation, Leah Tabor at Kings Mountain for teaching us about the 18th century. We'd like to thank Beth Drost and Carl Koster at Grand Portage National Monument for teaching us about how to research and practice living history. In addition, we'd like to thank Brian Reedy at Fort Necessity, Doug Halsey at San Juan Island, Furman Salas at Pipe Spring, and Lisa Sandin here at Fort Union Trading Post for trusting us to develop and present our own programs.
Thank you all.
Hello, my name is Sita Antel, and I have been a volunteer here at Cabrillo National Monument in San Diego, California since I was 11 years old. Last year, in August of 2020, I, alongside Ranger Julianne Fontana, put on an exhibit commemorating the women's 100th anniversary of gaining the right to vote. I've always had an interest in history, and so these outdoor exhibits displayed along this very walkway were the perfect collaboration between myself and the park in order to share the stories of local women despite the pandemic. Here at the garden, the park displayed picket signs with suffragette slogans, as well as postcards that reflected 19th Amendment themes. The front side of the lighthouse was illuminated in purple and gold, the colors of the suffragette movement. On the side, the park presented a slideshow celebrating notable women alongside photos and facts. Thank you so much for honoring me with this award. It has truly meant so much to me to see San Diego's local women's history recognized on a national level. And also a huge thank you to all Cabrillo Park staff, volunteers, and the Women's Museum of California for making this event possible.
On behalf of the members and volunteers of the Ice Age Trail Alliance, let me say it's a great honor to receive the 2020 National Hartsog Volunteer Group Award.
In 2020, 1,499 volunteers donated 53,297 service hours to conserve, create, maintain, and promote the Ice Age National Scenic Trail.
Volunteers are the backbone of our organization and the Ice Age National Scenic Trail itself. They build it, support it, and maintain it. And they did it even during the pandemic.
270 acres were protected and volunteers built 1.3 miles of new Ice Age trail, shoveling tons of rotten granite to fashion 7,434 feet of sustainable tread. They also built 260 feet of rock wall and constructed 1,277 feet of boardwalk under a variety of conditions. Our volunteers also participate in smaller scale trail building and year-round stewardship events too. They mow the trail, paint blazes, lead hikes for adults, and school groups too. They help out in the office and so much more. So volunteers, this is your award, whether you've dedicated a few hours or many years worth of time and effort. You are appreciated.
Thank you, volunteers. Without you, the Ice Age National Scenic Trail would not be what it is today. I'd also like to thank our partners at the NPS office for the Ice Age National Scenic Trail, Dan Watson and Eric Gabriel. Thanks for recognizing the efforts and impact of our volunteers. The Alliance is proud to be a part of the National Park Service and look forward to continued partnership.
I'm Louisa. I volunteered here for about 12 years. My favorite part was being able to share facts about the fort and a little bit about its history. I went to a classroom, and during the question parts, I got to explain a little more about the questions, and then the teacher spread it on to all the other teachers. So that's.
Hi, my name is Sarah Westcott, and I am currently going into my junior year at Oswego High School in Oswego, New York. And I am a Girl Scout going into my ambassador level of Girl Scout. I decided to join the project because I am working on achieving the gold level of the Congressional Award, which requires a total of 400 volunteer service hours. So when I was told about an opportunity to work with one of my favorite national parks, I was truly excited that I was able to do something else that could benefit both me and my community. Throughout my time working with Fort Stanwix National Park, I was offered ways to learn how to interpret information through courses I was given, and I learned so much about history and women's roles in the Revolutionary War that I had never known before.
I am 7 years old. I volunteered at Fort Stanwix for 7 years. My name is Ivy Louise Roman, and my favorite part about volunteering is learning about history.
I am Abigail Morgan, and I've been a volunteer at Fort Stanwix National Monument since I was born, pretty much, so a nice 18 years. I think one of my favorite projects was during the park centennial. I got to serve as the youth ambassador for the park and help represent the park on like a national level and connect with other people, and it was really fun. It's helped so much. I've gained so many great, fantastic skills like public speaking, organizing, creativity, and overall just a well-rounded historical education that I can share with so many other people. And in the future, I hope to also make an impact maybe in bigger cities through theater, which I love, and I'm pursuing in college.
Hi, I'm Sarah Conan. I'm coming to you from Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. And on behalf of Cabrillo, Channel Islands, and Santa Monica Mountains, I'd like to accept the Hartzog nomination. You know, our volunteers are very passionate about the parks and about being part of the NPS family. And this last year has been so difficult for them as well as the park staff. But together, the three parks pulled together and found a way to keep the volunteers engaged. We were able to offer 57 different programs, which equated to about 4,000 hours of volunteer training.
All right, welcome to I believe this is our 4th Zoom session.
Would say, but this is a new kind of live presentation.
The 5 seconds this was probably a couple thousand images.
And just in awe of the things that he accomplished.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, they're critical to continue the historical migration.
That means mirage or illusion. Facts on spiders. Archaeological discoveries.
Talk about later.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Uceda, and I represent Channel Islands National Park. The Channel Islands volunteers gained a whole lot of knowledge from the Santa Monica Zoom series, as well as got to make lasting connections with Cabrillo and Santa Monica volunteers.
Together, we formed a way to educate our volunteers, and when they come back and start coming back into the parks and working again, they'll be able to transfer this knowledge to our visiting public. So again, thank you so much for the honor of the award. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jerry Mills.
And I'm Jeanette Mills. This year marks our 25th anniversary as volunteers for Lake Clark National Park. We live year-round at a remote ranger cabin at Talakwana Lake. The cabin has solar power, but has no running water. It is located 50 air miles away from the park headquarters. Most visitors fly in, very few hike in. There are no developed trails, so hiking means finding your own best route. Visitors primarily come to fish, sightsee, and backpack. Over the years, we've helped with various park projects in one way or another. We've worked with cultural and natural resources as support for their field work. Since 2010, we've assisted the fabulous fish crew that runs the salmon weir. They count all 5 salmon species that run through the Talakwana River. You may have heard of Dick Prenike's 30 Years at Twin Lakes. A true labor of love project was transcribing over 100 pounds worth of Dick's daily journals, which have been edited by the park historian John Branson into 5 awesome books. Given the importance of aviation, we also provide weather reports to park pilots and concessionaires. We provide support for law enforcement and have helped with search and rescues. By far, the most important duty we have is helping protect and preserve this land that belongs to us all. Thanks to all park staff and local residents who have made our time here possible. A special shout out to Claire Roberts and Lee Fink, who originally brought us into the Lake Clark National Park family. Parting views are benefits of being in Lake Clark National Park.
The James V. Mervin Award recognizes an individual who has made significant and lasting contributions throughout their career to strengthen partnerships between the National Park Service and cooperating associations. Cooperating associations help provide meaningful, often life-changing connections to parks and their resources. Their donations to national parks support vital interpretation and education, as well as research programs. This year's recipient has contributed 20 years of leadership excellence and dedication to the partnership between Discover Yount Northwest and several partner parks. Congratulations to the 2021 James V. Mervin Award winner.
Hi, I'm Jim Adams. I'm the Executive Director of Discover Yount Northwest. We're based in Seattle, and we cover 11 national park units in the Pacific Northwest, along with most of the Forest Service units and Army Corps of Engineers projects in that same area. But obviously, we're here to talk about the National Park Service today. I want to thank you all for this award. I want to especially thank the superintendents that I work with and that Discovery Northwest as a group works with. They've been tremendously supportive and creative in their uses of not just our aid money, but our nonprofit status, our ability to manage grants. We've worked hand in glove with a lot of these folks, with fundraisers, with donation accounts, with all kinds of ways to get them to the finish line on several projects that go far and beyond the aid that we make out of our stores. I want to talk especially now about the smaller parks because, at Mount Rainier and Olympic National Park, our biggest parks, they're big enough that they can actually sustain operations, with our staff and our manager. But the smaller parks like Whitney Mission or Nez Perce, John Day Fossil Beds, they can't do this and have a staff person from Discovery Northwest. We could never afford it with the dollar volume that's done in those parks, those smaller parks. So those rangers in those parks and those chief interps and those superintendents have consistently helped us by doing most of the legwork. They do the ordering, they go to the bank, they fill out sales reports, they take inventory, all kinds of amazing things. And I just want to thank them. And I also, of course, want to thank my own staff. Discovery Northwest staff some of us have been working here for over 20 years, many over 15. And by extension, they've been working for you that long too, because it's those people that keep everybody sustainable. Thank you very much.
The Freeman Tilden Awards for Excellence in Interpretation and Education recognize an individual and a team for excellence, achievement, and innovation in the profession of interpretation, education, and visitor engagement. The award is named in honor of Freeman Tilden, who was a champion of visitor engagement in the National Park Service and defined the profession of interpretation. He devoted his time as an NPS employee to improving the quality of our visitor programming by incorporating provocation, meaning, and relevance into the experience of millions of park visitors. Today we honor some outstanding interpreters who follow in his footsteps. Congratulations to this year's 2020 award recipients.
Bonjour, hello. My name is Justin Olson with Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, and I'm excited to join you from the shores of Gitchagumi, Lake Superior, within the homeland of the Ojibwe people. All of the land that lies within the boundaries of Apostle Islands National Lakeshore is Lake Superior and Mississippi bands of Ojibwe ceded territory from the 1842 Treaty of La Pointe. Over generations, the Ojibwe people named the places that are now in the park in Ojibwe Mo'in, the Ojibwe language. The names for all of Winnebouju Ominasan, the Apostle Islands, the Mashkazibi and Ga Misquabakong, Bad River and Red Cliff bands, and Gitchagumi help tell the story of this place. Our team at Apostle Islands National Lakeshore wants to recognize and honor these names, the stories they tell, and the Ojibwe people who continue to live here, retaining the traditional culture and language shaped in this area while adapting to current times. Last winter, we worked on an update to our official park map and brochure, and it was important to include these place names. This brochure is often the first introduction to or the take-home souvenir of the park.
Gitchishquayan minis. Gitchishquayan minis. Gitchishquayan minis.
Our Junior Ranger activity book and the new 50th anniversary Junior Ranger book both include Ojibwe language and themes. In our media, we've tried to tell challenging stories of treaties, tragedies, and tribal rights, while incorporating the importance of Ojibwe Mowin through Words of the Week. One's way of seeing the world is shaped by immersion in the world around them. The Ojibwe culture and language are saturated with a relationship to this place, these islands, and all of the natural world around us. Learning a bit of the language helps to preserve it from extinction and saves those ways of thinking. Ojibwe Mowin is traditionally an oral language, so it's important not just to see the words, but to hear them. With that in mind, we included recorded audio of the place names and other words, including the 13 Ojibwe moons and the Ojibwe words used in our Junior Ranger activity guide. We're looking forward to adding more audio in the future. Hearing and speaking these words help preserve the culture of this special place.
Wayna bujo o minasan. Wayna bujo o minasan. Wayna bujo o minasan.
We're fortunate to learn through interactions and resources with our local bands, the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, and our own tribal interpretation and education staff. Together, our I&E team has worked to incorporate Ojibwe language and culture into our stories and media, sharing an integral part of this special place with our visitors and community. Miigwech, thank you.
Hello, I'm Ann Monk.
And I'm Sabrina Oliveras.
We're park guides here at San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park, which is situated on the ancestral lands and waters of the Ramaytush Ohlone people.
Even though our job is public speaking, we are both honored, beyond words, that our podcast, Better Lives, Bitter Lies, has been recognized with the National Freeman Tilden Award for Interpretation Excellence.
Better Lives, Bitter Lies began with a conversation about all we'd learned of the San Francisco waterfront and how much we still didn't know.
Our supervisor, David Pelfrey, always tells us two things. First, that we must be mindful of our historiographies.
Founded on research, interviews, oral histories, and many, many walks along the San Francisco waterfront, Better Lives, Bitter Lies was not just a chance to interpret the histories we learned, but an opportunity to open ourselves and our audience up to the idea of questioning the histories we think we know by heart.
He also says that history is a team sport. On that note, we want to thank everyone who supported this project, especially Mark Newell, who nominated us.
Mark, we wish you were here.
And we thank David Pelfrey, Morgan Smith, Dave Brulette,
Leslie Graham, Michael Warner, Len Cullivan, among many teammates at the park.
We also thank the guest interviewees who shared their voices with us. Richard Everett, Grant Din, Julia Flynn Seiler, Charlotte Brooks, and Oscar Peñaranda.
Not to mention all the scholars, journalists, poets, writers, and musicians on whose work we built our episodes around.
Ultimately, this award is not for us, but for the people whose stories, in all their complexities, we are honored to have some small part in preserving.
Thank you again.
The next presentation is the Herry Young Award for Excellence in the Art of Rangering. Herry Young was hired in 1880 to be a gamekeeper for Yellowstone National Park and is generally regarded as the first national park ranger. Rangering is a mindset and a skill set perhaps best described by the first National Park Service Director, Stephen Mather, who said, "They are a fine, earnest, intelligent, and public-spirited body, these rangers. Though small in number, their influence is large. Many and long are the duties heaped upon their shoulders. If a trail is to be blazed, send a ranger. If an animal is floundering in the snow, a ranger is sent to pull him out. If a bear is in the hotel, if a fire threatens a forest, or if someone is to be saved, send a ranger." For more than 100 years, National Park Service rangers have demonstrated adaptability and perseverance in the most arduous of environments, an innate, uncommon bravery, and overall dedication to the protection of the people, places, wildlife, and objects in national parks. I am pleased to present the 2019 and 2020 Herry Young Park Ranger Awards.
is Charlie Lundeen. I work as a protection park ranger here at St. Croix National Scenic Riverway. I am the recipient of the 2019 Herry Young Award, which recognizes excellence in rangering. I feel so fortunate and honored to be selected for this award. There are so many United States park rangers out there who dedicate their time in helping protect the resource and the visitors who visit our national parks. I would like to give a special thanks to my son Landon, my family, and all of my coworkers. Without all of you, this award would not have been possible.
Thank you and good afternoon. I'm Todd Austin, Field Ranger at Lake Mead National Recreation Area. I'm currently paired with my canine partners, Mock and Senna, and serve as the National Park Service Canine Program Manager. And now I'm the proud recipient of the 2020 Herry Young Award. I'd like to thank the National Park Foundation for recognizing my colleagues and I for our achievements. Most importantly, I'd like to thank my family for supporting my love of working dogs. Through sleepless nights of barking dogs, through scrubbing bowls, dog baths and brushing, through late nights and early mornings, and through the inevitable loss of my canine partners. And lastly, I'd like to thank my fellow employees who've supported the canine teams at Lake Mead. Those who've worn the bite suits, helped care for the dogs, those who deployed with the canine teams, and those managers that have supported the canine teams across the nation, from Boston to Yosemite. I truly thank you all. My interest in canines started with my first dog when I was 5, a poodle named Muffy. And I'm certain she bit me more than my current patrol dog, Mock. This is where my passion for working dogs started. 30 years later, in 2008, I was fortunate enough to fulfill a dream by starting a canine program at Lake Mead. Since then, I've had 4 canine partners of my own and helped other park units establish successful canine programs. I've watched the number of canine teams grow from 3 to now 12. These canine teams train diligently to sniff out bombs and drugs, find people, and protect employees and our park visitors. Working dogs are truly amazing animals. I've experienced the positive impact of our first canine team at Lake Mead, and now I'm eager to facilitate canine programs throughout the Park Service. I'm excited for the future as we continue to develop these valuable canine programs, serving our national parks and connecting with visitors in such a unique way. Thank you.
I want to again thank our awardees who have made invaluable contributions to our national parks and to the experiences enjoyed by so many park visitors. Your service inspires people to connect with and protect America's national parks, ensuring more people are able to see themselves in national parks and feel welcome in these places that belong to all of us. From recruiting volunteers, fixing what's broken, and enhancing visitor experience, you represent the best of the National Park Service. Your devotion, care, and innovation make it possible that children, families, and friends who come to parks find adventure and make memories that last a lifetime. More than a century after the National Park Service was founded, NPS employees and park volunteers remain trailblazers, setting the standard and helping to build a larger community of national park champions. Congratulations on all your achievements. Be safe, stay healthy, and thank you for joining us today.